Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
You guys! I'm driving your car, but I just got a notification that Ruth Bader Ginsburg died! Could this year get any worse? Ruth, you just had to make it to 2021!
That was Friday. Oh my God. So let's recap this. Year starts with Kobe passing away. And we're hearing something about this thing in China. Then this thing becomes bigger. We see what's going on in Italy. Then it gets to our shores, and whoa, lo and behold. Along the way, we had fires, hurricanes, few earthquakes, and yes, chaos and craziness of a presidential election that has now been thrown into, oh my God, what just happened with the death of Ruth Bader Ginsburg. 87 years old, had fought cancer, had issues, her health for a very long time. Supposedly, her dying wish, fervent dying wish, is that until another president is chosen, that they don't make the choice. But that's not Trump. Trump's ready to roll. Trump's ready, and he's going to do it. You know that. Said today, Friday, Saturday, he is going to announce who it's going to be. Not a shocker. This is who he is. Trump is about winning. I have said, and we've talked about this ad nauseum here, and I think the thing is people, because of the day-to-day stuff, you don't hear about Trump and a lot of the stuff that's happened. He and Mitch McConnell have powered through 200 federal judges onto the courts. One of which, or two of which, that are potentially could be the next Supreme Court justice. And we'll touch on that in a minute. His legacy is always going to be the courts. I've always said that. Outside of a nuclear war, his legacy was going to be the courts. And the reason is that's where everything's shaped now. We live in a world where the legislative branch, the executive branch, have co-equal, right? They're co-equal in this. But the judicial branch has a little bit more than they do because everything goes to court now. And because everything goes to court, how that court is stacked matters. And when you've got a situation where, quite frankly, you could be looking at 6-3 and people don't leave there very often, this is a situation where generational. Absolutely. You knew that they were going to get on this as fast as possible. Trump has already come out and said he's going to pick a lady. Not a shocker.
I will be putting forth a nominee next week. It will be a woman.
Who could it be?
She is a former Notre Dame law professor.
Amy Coney Barrett?
She is a former Notre Dame law professor. She clerked for Justice Antonin Scalia, considered one of his favorite clerks. 7 children, devout Catholic. She would energize anti-abortion activists and the religious right.
Absolutely. On the other side of things, there is somebody whose name is popping up more and more. Cuban descent. Smart. While she is, just Lagoa is conservative. Some people worry that she's not conservative enough. She's a little bit younger. She actually has judicial experience. It's one of the things about Amy Coney Barrett that she doesn't. They talked about in the past, but these two are in the lead.
She was confirmed to the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals by a vote of 80-15. So a lot of Democrats supported her. Former Chief Justice of the Florida Supreme Court, the first Hispanic to sit on that court, and from that absolute must-win state of Florida.
So you have those two. Then you have the other thing. We're not far away from an election. An election that I can almost certainly guarantee is going to end up in the Supreme Court. What do we do? How do we go about getting, what? People are trying to figure this out. Democrats, Republicans, how do they get this there? Republicans know, hey, we need to make sure that we have at least 51 on our side to get this through. The Dems are like, who can we get on our side? Too. Murkowski, Collins look like they may just skip it all together.
Democrats have very little power here. Their best hope to try and pressure a handful of key Republicans to break ranks. 4 Republicans would have to side with Democrats to block a confirmation. Already 2, Susan Collins of Maine and Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, say this decision should be up to the next president. With just 121 days until inauguration, Democrats are now vowing to use every tool they have to try and delay this process, even possibly impeachment.
Yes, you heard that right. Another impeachment is what we're hearing. This is a battle like nothing we've ever seen before. A battle that is massive, and a battle that just doesn't end at the White House and the Senate. A battle that comes into each and every single state. A battle that is growing on a daily basis, and a battle that will energize voters on both sides. How could it not? How could it not? Somebody asked me, how big is this? I said, outside of a president dying, this is maybe the biggest death you can have in the political world. Outside of the president dying. That's how big this is. If, and this is a big if, they manage to seat somebody, the Republicans, you have a 6-3 majority. A 6-3 majority in a day and age where we litigate everything. Now, it's interesting because, and we'll get deeper into it. People look at Chief Justice Roberts, and Chief Justice Roberts is very conservative. Some of the stuff that he's done in the past, he's very much an originalist. He looks at the text, but he also looks at precedent. He doesn't like to go against things that have been heard in the courts before. He doesn't like to get involved in those things. If it's been in the courts already and they've ruled on it, rarely will you see him go against it. It's sad that we live in a day and age where politics and law come together in such a way where we have to stack something one way or another. But the Democrats have very little power, and that's why you see people freaking out like, I mean, think about this.
Holy you guys! I'm driving your car, but I just got a notification that Ruth Bader Ginsburg died! Could this year get any worse?
Because they really can't do anything. Their best bet is, can we get a couple vulnerable Republicans? And I know what a lot of people are saying, well, Republicans refuse to listen to Merrick Garland. Well, here's what happened. And this is the way they're going to spin it. I'm going to tell you this right now. They didn't have the Senate, so that's number one. If they had the Senate, Merrick Garland would have been heard. Second thing, and this is very, they're going to say, Obama was a lame duck. He wasn't rerunning for election. He was out. He had done everything. He was done. Trump is in the middle of election and potentially still has 4 more years. So why should he not have a chance to have somebody heard? Mitch McConnell has vowed that they will have somebody in place. Can they do it, though? Can they get it in time?
We're about 43 days from the election, I think. And the average time that it takes to do this from nomination to confirmation is 70 days. So that's what, a number of conservatives are pushing President Trump. One of the reasons to name a nominee with a record, somebody that was nominated recently, and that process can be expedited.
Yeah. Now, can it happen before then? Yeah, probably. Will it? I don't know. Will they impeach him again? How does that look? All of these things are going to play into what's going to happen on November 3rd. The battle just got bigger. The battle just got crazier. And it just got more ugly. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. Text the program as well. Hope you had a good weekend. Had a solid, semi-enjoyable weekend. I say semi-enjoyable because normally I go and I cut myself off, up until Sunday morning. I'll watch a few things and I'll do some work on Sunday night. But it's tough when there's something like this that's so big, working late Friday, doing all of these things. That's a tough thing. I had to get out and play some golf on Saturday, and I enjoyed that. But this was one of those things where, like I said, outside of a president dying, in the precarious situation of where the court sits right now, this is the biggest death outside of that. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program as well. Car Shield. Thank God I have Car Shield. So I have a newer car and I have an older car. My older car, I worry about the transmission. The things that transmission, air conditioning. My newer car, I worry about the electronics because there's some other stuff in there, some like things that a little aftermarket-y. And so I made sure I had that covered. And thank goodness I did. Some issues with the little screen. All is well. CarShield's amazing. That plans start as low as $99 a month. Go to carshield.com, carshield.com. See how you can sign up, exactly what you're looking for. And I'll tell you, with 24/7 roadside assistance, a rental car for free while your car's in the shop, you choose a shop, they get you paid directly. What's amazing about that is, if you're specific, I tell everybody, just don't get a blanket coverage. Be specific. Say, I'm worried about this. I'm worried about that. The things you're mostly worried about. You see how much you save. Not only to protect your car, protect your bank account as well. Call 800-CAR-6000, 800-CAR-6000. Mention code Benson. When you do that, you're going to save 10% on top of everything else. Carshield.com. Code Benson saves you 10%. A deductible may apply. Chad Benson Show.
Take a fake news break. Check out the really important news of the day at our website, ChadBensonShow.com. Once there, click on Chad's free podcast and get real. The Chad Benson Show, where truth and the American way live. Print free.
On Friday, President Trump insisting his administration will begin distributing a vaccine within 24 hours of its approval. But a new ABC Ipsos poll showed 53% of Americans surveyed have no confidence at all in President Trump to confirm the safety and effectiveness of a potential coronavirus vaccine. It comes as a congresswoman from Connecticut tests positive for COVID.
Yeah, how fast can we get it? People don't trust Trump to get it out. By the way, in Europe, there is a lot of distrust as well because they rushed out the swine flu and the burn. They've rushed out a few. And I was watching this thing in Sweden where some 500 people roundabout got narcolepsy, kids and adults, and they had to pay them out. So the fear of rushing something out is very real. Now, here's the other side of things. Trump's not building this. He's not developing it. He's not doing anything than trying to oversee it as the president of the United States. Well, we don't want anything rushed out. Okay, so you don't want anything rushed out. Fair. So you don't want anything rushed out. We talked about flattening the curve, which the minute we flattened it, it was now let's crush the curve. And the minute, so that went away. So something else. So are we going to stay inside and for several years? Should we not rush to try to do this? Well, we should rush, but then, well, what do you think? Do we test it over several, let's just say we cut the whole thing in half, and instead of maybe 5 to 7 years in development, it's 2.5. Are you prepared to live another 2 years or so like we're living now? Well, no, but we act as if Trump is like, he's the one, like he's coming up with it. This is him. It's all his. This is the way this is going to go. Trump's going to build this thing. Nobody else is doing any of that. Just Trump. Settle down. Everybody settle down. When it comes out, and I have a feeling within the space of 30 days, there'll be a couple that pop out. You'll probably have a choice. You talk to your doctor, and you do the best research you possibly can, and then you decide if it's for you. It's that simple. Nobody's forcing you to get it. And I think there's going to be a lot of people that are going to step back and say, you know what, I'm going to let this thing play itself out for a while, and we'll go from there. We'll go from there. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Speaking of COVID,
ABC News learning more information about some of those lost lives. More men succumbing than women. The majority of deaths over 65 years old. And roughly 40% of all fatalities linked to long-term care facilities.
Yeah, so there's that. And then what about the young?
The World Health Organization saying that Gen Z and millennials are driving the spread of this virus, but it's not because of parties and going to bars, but rather their jobs. Those young people in service jobs are at greater risk of being exposed to this virus.
But still, very few of them are getting sick and dying. Very few of them in the hospital. Even though you see a spike in cases, like, oh my God, there's a spike in cases. Go look at what's happening. Hospital across the country are feeling less and less pressure. It's just not happening the way that a lot of people who freaked out about it. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. It's nasty. We want to get rid of it. Let's be real. Should have to preface that. But if you don't, everybody says, you want to kill grandma. My grandmother's already dead. I don't want to kill your grandma. It's about getting people back to work. It's about returning to a normal way of life for all of us. And that includes sitting in traffic, which sucks. In saying all of that, you can be a little bit more cautious, but it's about taking calculated risk. Most of the deaths are well beyond 65. Most of them long-term care facility, and almost all of them have at least 1 to 2 comorbidities. So take a deep breath, find out the facts. Start looking around. Stop making it political. Use common sense. Not hard to do, but in this day and age, apparently it is. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Holy you guys! I'm driving your car, but I just got a notification that Ruth Bader Ginsburg died! Could this year get any worse? Ruth, you just had to make it to 2021!
She's lost it. It's a reaction by many on the left on Friday. Because apparently the minute that she died, abortion was made illegal, marriage equality's gone, blah, 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 blah. It's none of that. It's just lost their minds. And they're freaking out. People say, why are they freaking out so much? And I said, well, because they can't do anything. They can't do anything to stop it. Their goal is we've got to figure out a way to stop Trump at all cost, and we're going to figure it out with first trying to stop the Senate from even listening to it by grabbing enough Republicans and threatening them in some way, shape, or form, or whatever. And on the other side of things, if they can't do that, well,
we need everyday people to call on senators, to call on folks on the bubble, to call Republican senators to make sure that they hold this vacancy open. And we must also commit to using every procedural tool available to us.
Procedural tool. And why does that matter? Because, yes, they're even hinting around another impeachment. Another impeachment. I don't know about you, but at that point, you've officially lost any You can't do anything, and I get it. You're pissed, you're scared, you're angry. This is the battle that you didn't want to have. Your goal. Trump loses, you make it to 2021, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, then you can retire or go off into the sweet nether regions, which she did on Friday. And from there, they put somebody in place. That was their plan. That plan seems to be over. Now it's up to McConnell and Trump. Can they get something done? But it's not over. And I say this. Here's the reality of it. There's nothing in the Constitution that says how many justices need to be on the court. There's nothing. We've said from day one that any president could go in. It's not the easiest thing in the world to do, but you can add to the court, and that's a possibility.
One thing you are hearing discussed very actively right now is the possibility of expanding the size of the Supreme Court. So the Constitution actually doesn't say anything about how big the Supreme Court is. It's been 9 since the late 1860s, but earlier in our history it was 10, it was 5, but there is nothing magical about the number 9.
No, there's nothing magical. This is it. Now, Ginsburg, to her before, because her dying wish was apparently fervently that anybody but Trump replace her. In saying that, she also said that 9's the perfect number. 9's that magic number. Do I think that they're going to do it? Yeah. I think they're going to try. They're going to try their damnedest. But at the end of the day, they're pissed because McConnell and the Republicans right now have the Senate. And what AOC was saying is, get on those bubble. Lisa Murkowski, bubble. Susan Collins, very bubble, especially after what happened with, Gorsuch. Everybody was kind of fine with Gorsuch. Part of that was you're replacing with Anton Scalia, right? Then Kavanaugh, he's the poster boy for rape and white privilege. They were not happy with that, and they want to come hard. And it looks like she may lose her seat. So come hard at that. They will. And I don't know what she's going to do. This is how politics works. When you want to hold on to your fiefdom, you want to hold on to your kingdom, you go outside in a reactionary way, and you hold your finger up. Whichever way the wind's blowing, you may flip and head in that direction. Will desperation cause that? Well, they think they've already got those two. But you need 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You don't have 4 at this moment in time. So we'll see what happens. Trump said by Friday, Saturday, he will make his pick, and then it's up to McConnell and them to get it done. And as we know,
I believe we will. I think it is particularly important that the Senate take it up and confirm this nomination before the election.
That right there is Ted Cruz, who's also on the list, but he's not a woman. Although he could identify as one. Chad. But this battle's going to be real, and it's going to get uglier. So you've got the election, and now you've got the battle in the Senate that's even becoming more important. And remember this, the Republicans have more to defend this cycle than the Democrats do. And there's some very vulnerable areas. I'm out here in Phoenix, out here in Arizona. Right now, Mark Kelly, who is a former fighter pilot and astronaut, is taking on Martha McSally, who already lost in the last election cycle 4 years ago to Kirsten Sinema, a Democrat. Then, after McCain died, she filled his seat, and she's running, and she's taking on Mark Kelly. McSally's getting whooped up on right now. So they think that they've got the opportunity to take out some seats. So in theory, if you're going to do it and you don't think you're going to win, this would be the time. This would be the time. Here's the thing. Trump cares about winning, period, case closed, end of story. He doesn't care if people see it as right and wrong. Legally, they have the right to do this. But they didn't do it with Merrick Garland. They're gonna flip it around. They're gonna tell you, Obama was leaving office. He wasn't running for re-election. He had no chance to be the president any longer. So that's why they said they went and did this. Right? This time they're going to say Trump's in the middle of potentially his presidency. So he's got every right to do this.
There's never been a rule on that, but there is something to be said for it when the election outcome's in doubt and you're closer and closer to the election.
That's the guy who nominated Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Touchy McFeely, president. Bill Clinton. And let's not forget where this presidency is probably going as far as this election. You've got massive amounts of legal teams on both sides, war chests for those legal teams, already setting up for lawsuits. And we saw what happened with Bush versus Gore. What if it was a 4-4 tie and they couldn't sort out anything? Think about that. President Pelosi. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us, text the program as well. Love hearing from every single one of you. I do. This was great. Kids going back to school, kind of, sort of. Makes you laugh, though, because most kids are going back to school kind of, sort of, in the classroom of their own home. And when you're at home, you're a little freer.
It started at this week's school board meeting when a Boca Raton teacher had some choice words for parents who misbehave in the background of virtual class.
Parents, please make sure that you have on proper clothing when you're walking in front or behind the child's computer. Because we done seen them in their drawers, the bra, and everything else.
Done seen them in your drawers, them bras, and everything else. Yeah, indeed.
Elementary school teacher Edith Pride has plenty of issues to take up with the school district, but chose to dedicate her time Wednesday night to deliver a fiery message to parents.
Parents, when you're helping your children at the computer, please do not appear with big joints in your hands and cigarettes. The joint be big as a cigar. Oh, yes, we done seen it all.
And though her comments got laughs from the crowd,
thank you, Edith. You're always a breath of fresh air.
her message struck a chord with other teachers who've been navigating the unpredictable world of virtual classes for months.
Yeah, and we've heard about all kinds of crazy stuff, right? Like kids getting suspended because they've got a Nerf gun or what's that kid a couple weeks ago? He's got the zombie killer gun. I think Jack has one of those. It's green with an orange tip. It says zombie killer on it. It doesn't look anything like a real gun. And it's like, hey, it's the parents. It's the parents. Like, Jack freaks out when I walk into the room because he thinks I'm going to do something, and I never get in front of the camera. But some people just don't care. And parents are finding this out, and teachers are echoing that across the country.
I did have a parent that sat on the couch and we could see an ankle monitor on her leg.
Teachers we spoke to say most parents are respectful of online class time, but they all had at least one story about hair-raising moments, exposing online classes to everything from profanity to drug use.
I had a father, no shirt. Let me tell you, he looked 9 months pregnant, no shirt, drinking a beer at about 11:45 in the morning. Parents are smoking marijuana. I mean, I don't really care if people do that, but you shouldn't be in the screen doing that.
You know what I really like about that is that she qualified that he was fat. Like, what if she'd have said, well, we had this one parent and God, he was yoked. Just he was ripped. He had like a 6-pack. So we're cool with that. But the fat guy, I like those, like 11 in the morning, he's having a beer. Maybe he works nights. Maybe that is his night. The ankle monitor thing was good, too. Parents beware, because you know what? It's on camera and cameras forever.
Others worry about the impact on students exposed to behavior and even body parts they might not see at home.
They do see, other things that they've probably never seen before. So I know that is a challenge.
And something else for photobombing parents to consider, district officials tell CBS 12 News that all classes are recorded so students can go back and review the lessons again as needed.
Yeah. And somebody's going to be caught, exposed, or something like that. Somebody's going to complain. Next thing you know, police are going to be everywhere. It's just, this is crazy. It is. We have a big debate over here in Arizona because somebody has a Trump sign. The kid sits at the table and they've got some Trump signs across the house. No matter where the kids sit, there's some stuff that says that they're definitely leaning to the right. And, outside of what's the kid do? You're in somebody's house. We should treat it like the classroom. We could pretend, right? But my classroom, I have a refrigerator. Kid feels comfortable sitting here. Jack has his own little area where he sits inside my house. So inside the house where he sits, he's got his own little area. We've got stuff on the walls. Nothing crazy, but we got some religious stuff, some crosses. Am I supposed to take it all down for that? This is a place where he feels most comfortable. He's got a desk. It's quiet. It's nuts. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. This is the frustration, but it's such first world frustration if you think about it. People are angry or teachers are weird. The reality is we're pissed off about Zoom. Think about that. Some places in the world, even here in America, struggle with running water, and we're trying to figure out Zoom. Zoom. Think. It's pretty cool. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Speaking of Zoom, Raycons, best earbuds around, E25s, amazing. These are the best ones yet. So you get 6 hours of talk time. All right, so it's playtime, all that stuff. Seamless Bluetooth pairing, more bass, compact design, gives you a nice noise isolating fit. So let's just say your child is on the Zoom call and there's some noise around him. He or she wears that. They're going to hear what's going on, and it's awesome. And the people will be able to hear them. Maybe you're at home and there's chaos behind because the kids are home. You need to make an important video conference call or a phone call to your business. Guess what? Noise isolating fit is awesome. Awesome. Stylish, discreet, no dangling wires, no stems, so that's beautiful. Just the best sound quality and fit, and it's amazing. I love it because I go out and play golf. I swing hard. I don't have to worry about them flying out of my ears or anything, hitting me in the jaw or any stuff. It is incredible. Truly is. Normally it's been about $250 on something like this. How about this? Well under $100, and I'm going to save you 15% on top of that. Go to buyraycon.com/Chad. buyraycon.com/Chad. When you do, you'll save 15%. They're well under $100. buyraycon.com/Chad. Chad Benson Show.
If you're part of the politically exhausted majority, don't fear. Your time to be validated and rejuvenated is here. Wake up. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Well, hello and welcome to the pandemic.
It started with Jimmy Kimmel doing a monologue to a fake audience. He and Jennifer Aniston then started a fire by sanitizing a presenter's envelope. All in all, the virtual Emmys.
Just such a weird moment.
Watchmen star Regina King won for Best Actress in a Limited Series or TV Movie, accepting her Emmy from home.
Didn't get to recognize my cast. I like the real awards better. Not that these are fake. I don't know what to call it, man.
Technically, the show ran rather smoothly. No chaos with all of the live streams from home. But as winner John Oliver put it from backstage,
it's a little confusing as to why the Emmys are happening this year.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I had no idea. I was watching football in the U.S. Open all weekend. Enjoyed the U.S. Open. Absolutely loved the U.S. Open. I think we're going to find out the numbers for the U.S. Open were huge. Golf's been one of those sports where they've kind of avoided all the politics of it all. Since coming back, there really hasn't been any. They've been quiet in politics outside of, you've got a few guys who, they've worn on their shoes or some other things, but outside it's because it's an individual sport. You got your own team. This is not one of those things where, the PGA is kind of a button up. It's a kind of thing. And they sent out a statement, when everybody else was, deciding, hey, we're going to cancel games. We're going to do this. They're just like, you know what? We want equality. We're working on these things, and we're still going to play. So I watched a lot of that, and I didn't watch the Emmys because I didn't know they were going on. Quite frankly, there's a reason.
Host Jimmy Kimmel got the ball rolling on the President Trump jokes early.
Of course I'm here all alone. Of course we don't have an audience. This isn't a MAGA rally, it's the Emmys.
Watchmen star Regina King wore a Breonna Taylor shirt and encouraged people to vote during her acceptance speech, ending with,
"Rest in power, RBG."
And Succession creator Jesse Armstrong gave an unthank you speech when his show won Best Drama.
Unthank you to the virus for keeping us all apart this year. Unthank you to President Trump for his crummy and uncoordinated response.
Yeah, and I think after a while, people are just like, you know what, I don't want to see it, don't care so much about it, moving on. And that's the way that goes. And there's a lot that goes into it. Before the politics got insane in award shows, the more that we started to see the stars on a daily basis through Instagram and social media and all of that stuff, the less we paid attention to it, because a lot of what it was let's see what's going on. Let's see what are they going to wear. Let's see all of these things. We don't care anymore because we know everything about them. We've seen just about everything about them. We know their inner workings of their lives and how they feel. And we know that pretty much everybody there leans completely to the left. And it's funny, they want you to watch their show. And at the same time, they don't want you to have your opinion. Isn't that weird? Well, that's modern politics. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. Watched some football yesterday. How about the game last night? NBC's Sunday Night Football. Seattle. Patriots. Down to the wire. Just great. Football's back, and I'm loving it. Why are you watching it? Because I love it. Didn't hear too much yesterday about the social justice. It was all about football, and I thought that was going to happen, and I think it's still going to continue that way. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
You guys! I'm driving your car, but I just got a notification that Ruth Bader Ginsburg died! Could this year get any worse? Ruth! You just had to make it to 2021!
Chad, you shouldn't laugh. I'm not laughing. I'm laughing at the reaction of people. I'm going to be honest. I've never been that kind of an emotional character that gets that kind of emotional over something. I don't, because this has just not been me. And we're raising a group of kids that are coming up in a generation where feelings and emotions matter more than facts and reality, and that's a scary thing. That is. She's upset because Ruth Bader Ginsburg died, and somehow magically she thinks that everything is going to be taken away from her. It just isn't going to happen. It just isn't. It's not going to happen. It isn't. Settle down. Well, what if they make Roe versus Wade? Women couldn't have women had abortions long before Roe v. Wade. In 30 states, there was restrictions, and in 20 states, it's probably, if ever again, even who the Republicans pick. A lot of people think they're going to pick Barrett, Amy Coney Barrett from, devout Catholic, 7 kids. And she says it's not about whether or not you have the right to have an abortion. Now the fight is who should fund it. That's it. Well, what about, look, everybody needs to breathe. And I know that's hard because you get so emotionally tied up, apparently, in so many of these things. I don't get people get pissed at me because I don't get emotionally tied up with Trump. They want me to be like that. You got to be. And I'm like, I just can't. I mean, it's just, I look at this as like, you're a president. You're there. That's it. What happens in my city, in my state, the municipalities, the counties I live in, they have a bigger effect on my life on a day-to-day basis rather than what takes place nationwide. This battle of the coming election was going to be massive. And now it has changed to the point where it is, I don't even know what to say. Outside of the death of a president, I don't think there's anything bigger in the political world. A senator, this, that, and the other, does not have the sway that these 9 people have. They are not co-equal branches of government. They have the final say. outside of starting wars and a few other things, there's just not a lot that they can't do. And their say is it. And the Democrats are pissed. The Democrats are angry. The Democrats are scared and emotional because they can't stop it.
Democrats can request additional information and can seek to delay, but are essentially at the mercy of Republican leadership in terms of how those requests will be honored. So in some ways, a lot of the action lies in what the Democrats could potentially do if they are successful in taking both the White House and the Senate. If there's a confirmation during the lame duck after President Trump has lost the reelection campaign, then I think we will be sort of in a new era of kind of response and retribution around the Supreme Court.
Yeah. And we'd love to think that there's not politics in court, right? But there is. There is. And there shouldn't be. And why? And we should look at it as this the Constitution. But see, here's the thing. It's the way the Constitution's being interpreted. Some of them believe they're originalists. They look at it and they say, we determine it and we look at this thing and we go and we essentially say that this, how it's written is how we're going to follow it. How it is written word for word. Other people say it is the spirit of the law. How it is written, it's open for some interpretation. It's open for a more liberal idea of modern times. And that's what we're going on. I will tell you this, what you don't know about the Supreme Court is a majority of the time, a solid majority of the time, it's not 5-4. It's usually 8-1, 9-0. A good majority of the time. We just don't hear about those. And what we're talking about is social issues. We're not talking about a lot of the other stuff. We're talking about social issues. Abortion, LGBT, religion, social issues are what we're talking about. That's it. Who's Trump going to pick? He's got two. Amy Coney Barrett is one of them. A lot of people thought maybe she would be the person before Kavanaugh was picked. She's very conservative. She's a woman.
She is a former Notre Dame law professor. She clerked for Justice Antonin Scalia, considered one of his favorite clerks, 7 children, devout Catholic. She would energize anti-abortion activists and the religious right.
A lot of people think that. And why is that? Well, was it Feinstein when she was picked in the federal courts, Feinstein essentially came after her and said, your religion, your dogma, it gets in the way of stuff. And I'm like, really? That's where you're going with that one? The other side of it is LaGoya, who is a Cuban American, conservative.
She was confirmed to the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals by a vote of 80-15. So a lot of Democrats supported her, former Chief Justice of the Florida Supreme Court, the first Hispanic to sit on that court, and from that absolute must-win state of Florida.
Those are the leaders in the clubhouse right now. Trump has said Friday, Saturday, one of those 2 days, I will announce it. Then it's up to them to get it through. How that works, I don't know. Because I believe they've gotten 2 so far in McCluskey from up in Alaska, right? And then they got Susan Collins. Now, Susan Collins took a lot of heat for what took place in the Kavanaugh hearings. People came for her hard. They're running somebody who's up in the polls. They've thrown a ton of money in there. So, Murkowski in Alaska is another one. They're going to have to target people that are vulnerable, the Dems, to try to get them to jump ship. And even if it's only these 2, though, they can't stop it. At the end of the day, they can't stop it. They only need 51. They need 4. They've got 2, supposedly. So you don't know. And Trump is going to pick. It's going to be frustrating. They can't stop it no matter what they do. If all things play out the way that the Republicans would like, and as we all know, nothing ever plays out the way that people think, the reality is they may not be able to stop it. And that's what's driving the anger and the frustration and all of these things. Could they impeach? That is a possibility. Impeach? Yes. They're already talking about impeaching Trump potentially again. And this is where we're going with this. This is the frustration that a lot of people have. We're already back into something else. You're talking about impeachment. My God, we're in the middle of the coronavirus and you're talking about impeaching. And then you've got an election on top of all of that. An election that will be so hard fought that many predict the night of Trump will be in the lead. By the weekend, through absentee and mail-in ballots, it will flip over to Biden in the lead. And by that following Monday, so many lawsuits will have been filed that they're on their way to the Supreme Court. And we're going to have a situation again with Supreme Court. We'll only have a 8-person seating in the Supreme Court at this point in time. So there potentially could be a 4-4 tie. What do you do at that point in time? Well, what happens normally at that point in time is it will go down to the lower court ruling and stay there. So there's so many things involved in this, and it's chaos. And I don't know if you're aware of this, but as you heard in the opening, people don't always do well in chaos.
Holy you guys! I'm driving your car, but I just got a notification that Ruth Bader Ginsburg died! Could this year get any worse?
Oh, God. Welcome to 2020. You have to wonder, like, what's 2021 have in store for us? Is that like a year where everybody gets their lottery wish? Whatever that is. I'd like to be taller. I'd like to be thinner. I'd like, or is it the aliens? Like at this point, if you were going to talk about aliens or going to release it, like this would be the time. At this point, we're not paying any attention. You think they're sitting around going, all right, like we're going to do this? Like if we were really going to do this and we're probably going to have to? This would be it. It'd be on the back pages. Like Ruth Bader Ginsburg died, Trump and them. You've got issues with race in this country. Coronavirus obviously has dominated the news story for the entire year. We've got all of these things going on. Oh, by the way, did you hear about aliens? What kind? Oh, no. Not talking about people who are coming from a different, we're talking about different planet. No way. Yeah, totally crazy. Get out of town. I know, right? Like that's where we are in this situation. And that's the kind of noise it would make. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson shows your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. HelloFresh. I'm on my low-calorie HelloFresh right now. Love it. Easy for me to put together. #1 meal kit in America. Chefs curated recipes every week, 22 of them. So low-calorie, vegetarian, family-friendly options. This next couple weeks, because I'm trying to, Jack was here, my son, he's 10. We had a lot of family-friendly options. We had some of those. So I went with a little low-calorie option, and I love it. I love it. Get meals on your table as little as 20 minutes. So what you get is everything's prepackaged, pre-portioned, so there's no waste of food, the right amount of food, and the inexpensive cost of this is incredible. If you're like me, I was spending way too much at the grocery store, and I'm also one of those people walking around, I'll take this. I save about 40-50% compared to going to the grocery store, and it's so easy to do. If I can do it, anyone can do it. The other thing is they're very flexible. When Jack was here, my son, I had to add some meals because, as we know, the growing boy likes growing food, so we had to add meals. If I go and travel like I normally would pre-coronavirus, I would have to say, hey, I'm not going to be here this week, so why don't we pause, and then when I'm back, we can have that. That's what they do at HelloFresh. Get started today. It's the #1 meal kit in America. Go to HelloFresh.com. Use the promo code Benson. $80 off your first box right there. Free shipping as well. That's promo code Benson at HelloFresh.com for $80 off your first box and free shipping. HelloFresh.com. Promo code Benson. Chad Benson Show.
Let the Washington Beltway strangle you. This is where the exhausted majority comes to refuel, realign, and reevaluate. This is Chad Benson.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff.
Now it's time to find out what's trending. What's trending? Yeah, what does that mean? I mean something, right? Like it's trending on the old internet. What's trending? Crazy stuff is trending on the old interwebs. Let's start off. Dallas Cowboys. Yesterday. This is how much America... Like, we think everybody, like, oh my God, people are freaking out. Cowboys, biggest search in the last 24 hours. 2 million searches. And their rally against Atlanta, who apparently just hates the lead. Just scares them. Chiefs win again. James White. Trending search. Running back last night for the Patriots. Right before the game, he found out his father, former police officer, Dade County, and his mother were in a car accident. His father died, and his mother was in serious condition. Also trending, Schitt's Creek. Yes, I didn't say it like that. That's an actual name. Schitts, Creek. Crushed it and won the Emmys last night. That's big. People trying to figure out what it is. If you've never seen it, absolutely hilarious. Eugene Levy is amazing. Head on over to the magical world of Twitter. Lots of stuff about Ruth Bader Ginsburg and Bryson DeChambeau, the golfer. He won the U.S. Open yesterday. It's very interesting. If you don't know anything about this guy, he's 27, he's from California, played golf at SMU. And his parents say he knew algebra by 6. He's very talented, but he's the quirkiest guy in golf in forever. All of his clubs are the same length, minus his driver. Yes, his putter's the same length. He is a mad scientist. And in the U.S. Open this weekend, he was 6 under. And when the lockdown happened, he had already been talking about what he wanted to do and transform his body. He wanted to make himself bigger and stronger. And he went out, and in the space of about 3.5, 4 months, he put on about 40 pounds. Not all of it's muscle. A little chunky, you can see that. But he's a beast. And he hits the ball farther than just about anybody. And higher. And he's stronger. And in the U.S. Open, if you watch golf, the rough is where it matters. So the ball goes in there, you can't even see it. Well, other guys are swinging. He looks like, as somebody said, it looks like he's just a silverback gorilla with a wheat sheath just crushing the ball through things. He says, I don't care about hitting the fairways. I'm just going to hit it farther than everybody else, and I'm going to play this new game. And everything is based on science. It's this many yards with the wind at this degree, the tilt of the axis of the earth, the gravitational pull. And it's just weird watching him, and he crushed everybody. And players like, we don't know what to do. And starting today, this is the other thing, starting today, he's going to go work with some long drive guys whose drivers are longer than the pros to see if he can hit the ball even farther. And he works harder. But he's like, people are like, well, so they need to change the game? I don't think it really matters. This guy's he'll do anything. You tell him you can only play the putter, he'll figure out a way to hit it further and longer, and he'll work at it all day. It's a trip. But he was fun to watch this weekend. Lots of NFL talk. And, of course, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the passing of her legacy. And we're going to get into her legacy, too, because we need to. I will say this. The right side of the aisle was far more praiseworthy than when Scalia died and the left side of the aisle. But when you hear the screaming and the yelling and the emotion, oh, this is going to get good, crazy, and ugly. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Never gets old.
Holy you guys! I'm driving your car, but I just got a notification that Ruth Bader Ginsburg died! Could this year get any worse?
and I have been laughing at that. And I shouldn't laugh, but I can't help it. It's very emotional. It's very emotional. We all have emotions. That's a good thing. Don't let it get in your way of reality. That's a problem with the younger generation. They live in a world with Thomas Sowell, one of the great minds in the last 50 years, saying we're raising a bunch of kids who believe that feelings and opinions matter more than fact, and that's just not good. And that emotion right there, you're devastated. Ruth Bader Ginsburg died. Well, she died at 87. She fought valiantly. And now Trump is going to replace her potentially with somebody, and you're upset. People say, well, they shouldn't do this. And they didn't, look at Merrick Garland. And I'm here to tell you, A, Trump doesn't care. B, Mitch McConnell doesn't care. And C, most importantly, they didn't have the Senate, and the Republicans do. Now it's close. You could get 4 potential Republicans to say, nope, we're not going to do this. And then maybe, just maybe, you could block it. Maybe. But at the end of the day, hey, Mitch McConnell is Mitch McConnell. He doesn't really seem to care too much about what everybody else thinks. And you can say all of these things.
Our fervent plea, our fervent wish is that you call your senator and say, abide by the wishes of this saintly, brilliant, caring woman.
I like how they use fervent, which is what she used in her deathbed last words, apparently, to her granddaughter a few days before, which is her fervent wish is that the next president replace her. Let's abide by her wish. It's a wish. It's not law. Right? The person that's outgoing, dying or retiring doesn't get to go, I get to choose who's next. Or this is who I want to choose who's next. Not this presidential candidate or person, but who I want. It doesn't work that way. This is how it works. Trump's president. The Republicans have the Senate. And whether you think, well, this is so sad because look what they did to Merrick Garland, the reality is simply this. They can. They can. So you can sit here all day and talk about.
She said, my most fervent wish is that I will not be replaced by until a new president is installed.
Well, so let's just say you get your wish, but Trump wins again. So we're going to go another 4.5 years without a Supreme Court justice because you don't like it. And then what if the next president doesn't happen to be on the left side of the aisle? Do we just wait until you're replaced? No, it doesn't work that way. How does it work? It works simply like this. Trump's the president. Republicans have the Senate. They have every right to put somebody out there. Well, morally, it's wrong. Well, first of all, who are you to decide anybody's morals? I would like to have seen Merrick Garland, I said that over and over again, get a hearing. I think they should have given him a hearing. But they didn't. And as the courts become more polarized, the way that they looked at this is, A, we have the Senate, so Mitch McConnell is allowed to do that. Don't think that Chuck Schumer, for an instant, if he had the Senate and was in charge, that Schumer wouldn't have rushed somebody through as fast as possible, even if it was reversed right now, they would. Let's say Clarence Thomas would have died, Hillary Clinton's the president, and they've got it 52 to 48 or whatever. For a hot second, they would think, we're going to do it. Are you sure? Okay, let's do it. Of course. Now what do? Well, you got to do everything you can to try to stop it.
We have our options. We have arrows in our quiver that I'm not about to discuss right now.
Yeah, arrows in the quiver. And they're talking impeachment again. But the Democrats would do the exact same.
And everyone knows that if the president were Joe Biden or Hillary Clinton and Chuck Schumer were the majority leader, the odds are 100%. 100%. There's no universe in which Nancy Pelosi would not have been the previous speaker saying, we are going to confirm this seat?
Of course they would, because that's your job. Politics is anything but nice. Politics is about winning, and it's never been more evident as we become more polarized, and that's where we are. Now, what could happen? Let's just say, for the sake of argument, that they get somebody through, which at this moment in time, I don't see why they're not going to. Who will it be? We can discuss that ad nauseum, but there's really 2 or 3 people rushing. Younger judge. She's, I think, 38. Making a move. Barbara Legao, who is Cuban-American judge, former Supreme Court judge out in Florida. A lot of people like her. And then Amy Barrett Cody, who's been on everybody's, Amy Coney Barrett, who's been on everybody's short list over and over again, was on the short list last time. And a lot of people thought, So who will it be? It'll be probably one of those 3. So you'll have a 6-3 majority, in theory, based on appointment of judges, how the Constitution is interpreted. In the way that it was written, down to how it was written, or in a more modern interpretation of how it was written back then. That's what you'll have. Essentially, potentially, a situation where you'll have a generational flip. The generational flips pretty much kind of happen in a lot of ways, because Trump and Mitch McConnell over the last 3.5 years have absolutely stacked the federal courts across the board with newer, younger judges, including these ladies we're talking about. But there is one other caveat, something we have talked about ad nauseum here as well, because we get ahead of things. Does it have to be 9?
One thing we're hearing discussed very actively right now is the possibility of expanding the size of the Supreme Court. So the Constitution actually doesn't say anything about how big the Supreme Court is. It's been 9 since the late 1860s, but earlier in our history, it was 10, it was 5, but there is nothing magical about the number 9.
Could they do it? Yeah. Would they do it? It's possible. But is that going to happen? It's not easy. That is not an easy thing to do. There's a lot that goes into that before they could do something like that. So, but it is possible. It is. But everybody needs to relax. Just everybody takes a deep breath. I know when I was younger, like when I played sports and stuff, I was a little bit more hot-headed and emotional. But I take a deep breath quick and take a look at the big picture, and then and people don't do that anymore. We live in this world of emotion, and we just lose ourselves, and that's why you get people freaking out and thinking that, somehow tomorrow that Roe v. Wade is going to be overturned, and that LGBT, rights are going to come under attack, everybody just needs to breathe. So what you are going to probably see is Puerto Rico and D.C. potentially have the opportunity to be made states. So if, let's just say they get somebody through, right? So they get another justice through, and they win the Senate, the Democrats, though, and the White House. Don't be surprised if Puerto Rico and D.C. become states. They might push for that. More senators, which they know they'd easily have. So you'd add another 4 senators to the mix. This is the battle of politics. And the Republicans will bitch about that. This is the lunacy of the world that we live in now. Everything is emotion, and can I one-up you? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us, text the program as well. Love hearing from every single one of you. All of that being said, people, we're still struggling with the coronavirus. It is ugly. It is nasty. So far, the president,
On Friday, President Trump insisting his administration will begin distributing a vaccine within 24 hours of its approval. But a new ABC Ipsos poll showed 53% of Americans surveyed have no confidence at all in President Trump to confirm the safety and effectiveness of a potential coronavirus vaccine. It comes as a congresswoman from Connecticut tests positive for COVID.
Yeah. It's still out there. It's not going anywhere. And globally, you're seeing spikes in places One of the big places people are talking about is why is there a spike in a place like the UK? France and Spain are seeing other spikes as well. When you go and you look at a place like Sweden, that doesn't really seem to be having any spikes at this moment in time, even though they have gone in a much different direction. Here's the deal. At the end of the day, it's the virus doing what the virus does. Meaning it's going to work its way through things at its pace. And you can do all you can to shelter, as we should do, to protect people. When it comes to the elderly, the first responders, and people with comorbidities. But outside of that, this thing's going to do what this thing does. And that's what's going on. And lockdowns, well, I mean, report in Lancet talking about the fact that lockdowns actually in some cases may have helped spread this thing. You're like, what? Yeah, we'll get into it a little bit deeper, but there's a lot of different things out there. Here's the reality. It's not going anywhere. So we can be smart, wear the mask when asked, wash your hands a little bit more, try to social distance, especially if you think somebody's sick. Just use common sense and take calculated risk, which is what we do on a day-to-day basis anyways in our lives. But this thing will do what this thing does. And when there is a vaccine, because I do believe there will be one, maybe two, we will go from there. On which one you're going to take? Are you going to take one? Are you going to wait and see and let other people take one? But that may not be till the middle of next year that we have that option. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. Your Twitter, purple mattress, baby. Purple mattress, baby. Love my purple mattress. Got my purple pillow. Got my purple mattress. Love them. Sleep amazing. Yesterday, let me tell you something. My nap was delicious. It was. I took a nap. I knew I was going to. We've had some issues here on the show with one of our good producers here having some medical issues, so I'm going to be working a ton, getting up even extra hours. Normally I work 16-hour days. Now I'm putting in 18-plus hour days, and so I made sure on the weekends I took my naps, and those are vitally important to me. My purple mattress makes my naps and my sleep, they maximize it, which I love the time. They've got the purple mattress, which you're on up, but they have a pillow as well, and it too has the grid, which is awesome. It is so amazing. I never sleep too hot or too cold ever. Firm where I want it, soft where I need it, and the pillow is like sleeping on the cool side of the pillow all the time. Technology, proprietary technology. They've used technology to advance the sleeping game. Now, you can try Purple mattress products across the board, risk-free, free shipping and returns. Financing available as low as 0% APR for qualified buyers. Experience the Purple Grit. You're going to sleep like never before. Take it from me. My nap yesterday was about 4 hours, and it felt like it was 2 minutes, but it was amazing. I was so refreshed because my head hit the pillow, boom, and I was out. I maximize it, and for many of you out there, you may be in bed for 6 or 8 or 10 hours, but you don't get that much sleep. With Purple, you will. So go to purple.com/Benson10. Use promo code Benson10. Limited time offer. Any order over $200, you get 10% off. Purple.com/Benson10. Promo code Benson10 for 10% off any order over $200. Purple.com/Benson10. Benson10. Terms apply. Chad Benson Show.
I usually don't get into politics. As an ordinary suburban housewife, I feel a little disrespected. I teach my children not to name call.
You are a blabbermouth!
Come on, man.
Guys, can we please keep the chatter to a minimum?
Chad Benson.
It's not like it's the first time we have seen it. We know what a great place it is, and I think we understand the responsibility of playing well here, but I'm not going to be real deep and overly philosophical. We got to play a hell of a football team coming in here, and that's got to be where our focus is, the Saints.
John Gruden, tonight, Las Vegas. Brand new $2 billion stadium. Already call it the Death Star. Looks pretty awesome. Not going to be any fans watching the Charger game yesterday. There's no fans. I mean, the Chargers in their new stadium, any stadium probably doesn't have any fans. But it was still weird because the Chiefs were in town. You figure, well, a bunch of people are going to show up and see the Chiefs. Tonight, I mean, this is how far we've come with football. There used to be a time in the not-so-distant past where, for most of the professional sports leagues, going into a casino was a violation. And then there was this terrified, like, we can never have a professional sports team there. And then that kind of changed a little bit. Then betting became a huge part of what made the NFL what it made. So the hypocriticalness and all that stuff kind of slowly went away. Next thing you know, FanDuel, all of this stuff, the loosening up of things, realizing it's better to be partners. And the other thing is these guys make so much damn money, you have to worry about any of that stuff. You don't. You don't. So there's always the thought process. Like, man, these guys are going to get caught up in stuff, and they're gonna roll over on again. And they're making, so much money. It's not a big deal. What are you going to offer? $50,000? And now you have that. So you've got the Vegas Golden Knights, and now you've got the Las Vegas Raiders. That'll be tonight in an empty stadium. Not a way that I think $5 billion in stadiums thought they would open up. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. Producer Phil.
Yes.
Nature, what will it do?
Chad, I believe nature will mess you up.
It will.
A snorkeler off the Florida Keys Sunday.
I'm told before he jumped in, his wife made a comment about being concerned about sharks, and he responded back, there's nothing to worry about.
Sheriff Rick Ramsey
was immediately attacked by a very aggressive shark.
Yep.
Between 8 and 10 feet long.
Then
taken underwater by the shark. Was struggling, said he was punching multiple times.
His pregnant wife and friends in a nearby boat jumped in to help. His injuries?
The shoulder, upper arm area was ripped off, completely missing.
Andrew Eddy, who's 30, is in a Miami hospital.
Yep. Is in critical condition. Lost a lot of blood. Was airlifted. Probably going to survive. It was a bull shark. You know it was. It wasn't a tiger. It was a bull. Aggressive, mean, horrible. And all over the Florida area, the Keys and the upper part, and everywhere, by the way, everywhere, because they can go everywhere. So think about that, including freshwater, because they have the ability to change from fresh to saltwater. And they've been caught as far as up in Cleveland. Smell what's cooking? Nature, kids, is crazy, and at times it will mess you up. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
You guys! I'm driving your car, but I just got a notification that Ruth Bader Ginsburg died! Could this year get any worse? Ruth! You just had to make it to 2021!
Oh my gosh, she's Ruth, like she knows Ruth. Like, Ruth, how could you do this to me? What were you thinking? Just give me the Handmaid's Tale. It's all this is. We're going back to the kitchen. It's all your fault, Ruth. Here's something. I'm gonna throw this out to you guys. Ready? Here it comes. Psst. Why didn't she retire 10 years ago? When she was 77. And she could have stepped away and somebody else younger on the left side of the aisle could have come in. I'm just curious. Like, is that wrong for me to say? Brilliant woman, brilliant mind, on the basis of sex, an amazing movie. You go find out anything about the woman, there is nothing but brilliance. Talk about a woman who, when we talk about women today and all of these things, she is the reason that so many opportunities have opened up. The way that she tackled things. She went to Harvard Law School, one of 9 women. The dean took them all to dinner at his house, the women, and said, why are you guys here? You've taken a spot from a man. She was brilliant. She was a woman, and she was Jewish in a day and age where that really didn't get you a far way, where that was seen as a knock against you. And she fought. And she won. Not only was she a woman and Jewish, when she went to Columbia University because her husband moved, had a job offer there, she followed him. She was a woman, she was Jewish, and she was a mother. Still graduated top of her class. Battled through all kinds of adversity. But there is that question. Why didn't you retire 10 years ago? Obama was there. You could have retired when they had the Senate. They had everything. It would have been a smooth situation to get somebody else in there that would have been younger. Trump's looking at people. One of them's 38. The other one's 42, and I think the other one's about the same age. Fair question. Not trying to be mean, just asking the question. Why are people so emotional? Because at the end of the day, Democrats really can't do a lot. They're going to try to do some stuff. They think they've got something. They do. They think they've got some things that they may be able to run with.
We have our options. We have arrows in our quiver that I'm not about to discuss right now.
No. And one of those may be, yes, another impeachment. That's a possibility.
Democrats can request additional information and can seek to delay, but are essentially at the mercy of Republican leadership in terms of how those requests will be honored. So in some ways, a lot of the action lies in what the Democrats could potentially do if they are successful in taking both the White House and the Senate. If there's a confirmation during the lame duck after President Trump has lost the reelection campaign, then I think we will be sort of in a new era of kind of response and retribution around the Supreme Court.
So that's where we are. Tit for tat. Welcome to the world of modern politics. They wouldn't do the same. Oh, good God. They would totally do the same. That's what you do. Why didn't it happen with Merrick Garland? Because they came up with some wacky this or that and this precedent. They make stuff up as they go. Both sides do it. Whatever fits the narrative at the time. At the end of the day, do you have the power to do it? The Democrats didn't have the power to have a hearing with Merrick Garland. Why? Because they didn't have the Senate, and that's what matters.
And everyone knows that if the president were Joe Biden or Hillary Clinton and Chuck Schumer were the majority leader, the odds are 100%. 100%. There's no universe in which Nancy Pelosi would not have been the previous speaker saying, we are going to confirm this seat.
Truth. They would have done it in a heartbeat, and I would expect them to do it. Why? Because that's what you're sent there for. Do your job. This is your job. Now, how long is it going to take? That's a different question. Trump said he's going to pick a woman, which he will. He's made that pretty clear.
I will be putting forth a nominee next week. It will be a woman.
Why isn't he doing it today? Because he said he wants to let everything play itself out. He wants there to be funeral, all of the other stuff to play itself out, to be done with, all of the honoring and everything else. And then from there, they will make the nomination. So Friday, Saturday is what he said, and I pretty much think that that's going to happen. Now, how fast can it get did?
We're about 43 days from the election, I think. And you know, the average time that it takes to do this from nomination to confirmation is 70 days. So that's what a number of conservatives are pushing President Trump. One of the reasons to name a nominee with a record, somebody that was nominated recently, and that process can be expedited.
Yeah. And the three people he's looking at, three women. Judge Rushing, young, 38. You've got Barbara Lagoa, also young, has some questions, but she was the one who got through the easiest. I think she had 83 votes. Cuban descent. And then you've got Amy Coney Barrett, who everybody looks at as the kind of front runner in all of this. It's very interesting. What are they worried about with somebody like Lagoa? Well, the abortion side of things.
Her views on abortion and the social issues that are so important to a fraction of the conservative electorate are expected and understood to be conservative, but she's had much less of a judicial record on those cases. And they worry. They worry about some of those things, where Amy Coney Barrett, who everybody looks at as the kind of the front runner here, Catholic, 7 kids, very much a pro-life person, she has said on more than a few occasions, look, Roe v. Wade's spoken for. Now the debate is who pays for it? Who pays for it? Then you've got the other question, which is the ongoing battle with Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act. That is a case in which Justice Ginsburg, her vote was almost certain to be in upholding the law, the constitutionality of the law. Now, I think the outcome of that particular case, to be argued right after the November 3rd vote, very much in question.
Because there is stuff coming up. And right now, in theory, the Republicans, if you were to look at it like this, they've got a 5-3 advantage. Well, too often than not, you go and you see somebody like Chief Justice Roberts. Chief Justice Roberts is, not only is he somebody who, he's an originalist, he looks at and interprets it the way that it was written, not any more liberal modern term. The second thing for him is he's very much a historian. He likes to protect the court. He doesn't want to go against stuff that's already been out there, stuff that's been ruled on by the court. The precedent's been set. This is what it is. He doesn't like to rule against those things. Those things have been spoken for. He doesn't want to hear some of those cases, but understanding that those things get there. At the end of the day, still very conservative. But a 6-3, in most people's mind, is generational. I've been saying that. Trump's biggest accomplishment, even when the economy was booming, even through all of the other stuff, right? The pulling our troops out, tax cuts, a lot of this other stuff that was good. Even with all of that, I've always said the legacy for him will be in the courts. The 200 federal judges that he is appointed and has gotten through, on top of his 2 nominees and now that were confirmed and now potentially a third, that could be generational. That will be way bigger in a day and age when we do what? We litigate everything. We go to the ballot and then we litigate it. That's where we are. And this election, 40 some days away, is going to be an election that probably ends up at the Supreme Court. Unless there's just an absolute destruction of one of them on both that Tuesday and when all absentee and mail-in ballots are counted. Then I think it's going to end up there. Wouldn't it be weird if there's a 4-4 tie? President Nancy Pelosi? Could happen. Highly unlikely. But in a day and age where we've got coronavirus, we're talking about aliens, right? We have all this crazy stuff go on in 2020. Why not start 2021 off with a bang? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson shows your Twitter. Tweet at F Rough Greens. Love Rough Greens. Love it. Use it. My dog. So it's not dog food. It is actually like a powdered supplement. It's the best way to describe it. You sprinkle it on your dog's food, brings your dog's food to life. Has everything your dog's food lacks. My dog Doodle loves it. He is, he borderline's now on the annoying. Before, even though he hurt, he just kind of sat there and you could pet him every once in a while and he just didn't do a lot. Now he runs around like the puppy. And he barks and he yelps and he has a lot of fun. And I joke about it. I love having a healthy, happy Doodle. From his arthritis to his fatty tumors, those are not an issue anymore. Thank you, Rough Greens. It brings your food that your dog eats to life because that stuff's meant to live on a shelf. So what do you get? Well, because you've got vitamins and minerals inside there. You've got all of these amazing things that your dog doesn't have. Omega-3, 6, 9, probiotics, you name it, they've got it inside of there. They love the taste. And for $14.95 for a 2-week jumpstart, you put it to the test and you see the difference. You will see it, absolutely. Keep your dog healthier longer, and those aches and pains, you watch what happens. $14.95 for a jumpstart. Go to roughgreens.com, ruffgreens.com/Chad. roughgreens.com/Chad to order yours or call 833-MY-DOG-88, 833-MY-DOG-88. Your dog will love it. Rough Greens, we make any pet food better. Chad Benson Show.
No fake outrage here, just the real thing. The Chad Benson Show.
The study is published in Cancer, a journal of the American Cancer Society. Researchers finding black women experience longer waits for the start of breast cancer treatment than white women after diagnosis, and they're treated longer. They looked at 2,800 black and white women cancer patients equally and found more black women were delayed in getting treatment and then had a longer duration of treatment compared to their white women counterparts. Researchers say the study underscores the disparate experience of black women with breast cancer.
Why is that? Those are things we need to figure out. You know, in this day and age, we talk about race, we talk about all of these things that are going on. This is the thing that why? Why is that? And why is it longer? Is there something that is happening to African-American women, to black women that is different in the treatments? Those are just things that we need to talk about. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, people talk about, it's funny, people hammered Trump last week. Well, you knew that this disproportionately hurts, poor and minority communities more than it does white communities going after the coronavirus. And I'm like, how would anybody know that? By the way, it's men, right? Men that it hurts the most. I don't hear anybody say, well, why? You knew that it would kill men more.
ABC News learning more information about some of those lost lives. More men succumbing than women. The majority of deaths over 65 years old. And roughly 40% of all fatalities linked to long-term care facilities.
Oh, wait, what? Men! You anybody bitching about that, do you? Well, it's men. We don't care about men if it kills men. It could kill men. If it killed a lot of white men, we'd be okay with that. Oh, Chad. Such a jerk, but stop being honest, but not really. Just questions that we should be asking ourselves. Why is it that the care in communities of color at times is absolutely abysmal? Same thing with school. Let's have a conversation about that. Why is it? Even if we pump money into areas of school. It was at D.C. last week, and they spent $30,000 on a kid on average in the D.C. area when it comes to school. And their kids still can't read in an 8th grade proficiency. It's embarrassing. More money's not the answer. Well, something else. Same thing. Why? Why are certain things the way they are? Do white women, when it comes to breast cancer, do they get checked more often and earlier? Is it more about preventative? And if that's true, then why aren't we out talking about it? In communities where there's women with people, who are of color, particular black women, why aren't we out there talking about that? Little things like that. But instead we fight over everything, because what matters most is not the progress and the solution, but the fight. The fight is where the money's at. The fight is where an industry is. The fight is where you can make a name for yourself. The solution, nobody cares about the solution. There's no there in the solution. We need there. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us and text the program as well. And then you talk about the coronavirus. What about the young?
The World Health Organization saying that Gen Z and millennials are driving the spread of this virus, but it's not because of parties and going to bars, but rather their jobs. Those young people in service jobs are at greater risk of being exposed to this virus.
Jobs? We're going to speak about jobs because the new study out has when burnout comes for a younger generation. And I'm just like, are you kidding me? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
I know that we have been laughing at it all day, but it just wouldn't be us if we didn't laugh again.
Holy you guys! I'm driving your car, but I just got a notification that Ruth Bader Ginsburg died! Could this year get any worse? Ruth, you just had to make it to 2021!
Come on. Even if you are on the left side of the aisle and you want somebody like Ruth Bader Ginsburg Part 2, that kind of made you laugh a little bit. You're like, wow. Producer Phil and I were talking about, I've never in my life have been that emotional over, I don't even know if over anything. Maybe that's me. Maybe the way I grew up. I grew up in a hard way. You know, we were not a close people. I always joke about that with my family and I. We're not a lovey-dovey kind of people. And I had a tough life growing up as a kid. And so maybe that's just it. And then I'm also somewhat analytical in a lot of stuff. It's that I'm very creative, but I'm very analytical. I take a step back and look at things and take a deep breath and go, all right, well, let's figure this thing out. Where this younger generation is all like facts don't matter. Feelings and opinion matter. Feelings are what you should base everything off of. That's why it's more important to tell somebody what they want to hear and to say the right thing than to tell them what they need to hear and the actual truth about something. And then they just lose their mind. I've just never been that way. I just never have. Maybe you guys have. Maybe I'm far off. Producer Phil, you have listened to the show for a while. Are you that way in any way, shape, or form?
Not even close.
All right, so there we go. And I have friends that are extremely liberal who are upset about her death, but they weren't that. And I think part of it comes with age. But even when we were younger, I wasn't that way. And this was something I found over the weekend. So, study came out. This is great. 30's the new 20 and, all of those things. But they did a survey. 2,000 working adults. I use the word adults loosely. Survey was conducted by one poll. You guys ready for this one? Younger generation. Think about this. They experienced career burnout at 32. All in all, a full third of respondents admitted they felt like they just can't go on due to either stress of exhaustion at some point during their careers, while so many modern workers, 52%, say they try to do too much, while others, 58%, believe their typical working days and hours are too long. Other respondents to the question said they weren't taking enough days off, 39%. Others feel like One must always be on while at work. Nearly 2 in 5 workers, 37%, feel the pressure to constantly put in extra work. In fact, just under half the respondents who battle job burnout have quit a job due to exhaustion. 29% said they would at least consider taking unpaid leave of absence the next time they're particularly stressed. And many find that them working at home has made it even worse. 60% almost say they've started working more hours since they've been working remotely. Chad, it's not funny. It's very real. That's not, okay, maybe. Like, what? You're 32. First of all, you're 32 on average. And I see it around here. Like, if you ask some of these younger kids that work here, and I call them kids, they're in their early 20s to mid-20s to do something extra, they'll look at you like, what are you talking about? And there is a certain sense of entitlement. The difference, when I was growing up, like everybody always knew, I know everything. I know everything. Because that's everybody. That's everybody forever. The difference is, while I may have thought I knew everything, as everybody else did, I kind of knew that I didn't know everything, and I also kind of knew that no matter what I thought I knew, I had to put in time. I had to put in time. That had to happen. So if I wanted to do what I'm doing now, that was going to take time. That wasn't an overnight thing. Well, I always expect good things to happen to me. I always work hard. I always tell everybody the harder I work, the luckier I get. And I knew that if, I want to outwork you. This weekend, I love golf. I watched the U.S. Open. The guy that won the U.S. Open, he's 27 years old. 27. The guy he beat, that was really the only person in contention who led the day before, was 21. This guy's still the reigning college champion because they didn't have a college championship this year. These guys are young. They're out there. But he works harder than everybody else. Every night after his round at the U.S. Open, he would come back till the lights went out and have him keep the lights on as long as possible so he could practice. Like, that's what this is. I always knew I had to work harder. Not only did I have to try to be myself, but I had to work harder. Because I wanted to learn. I was willing to come in and work extra days, not get paid for it because I was learning a skill, and I always thought that skill was going to take me somewhere. 32 and burned out? Are you kidding me? Again, from what? Oh, my Lord. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Yes. Ruth Bader Ginsburg's passing means there is an opening on the Supreme Court. They don't come around a long time. I've asked the question, and I'll continue to do so. Should she have retired 10 years ago when Obama had the chance to put somebody else who was younger and potentially healthier in her place? Should she have done that? Did her sticking around as long as she did put the court in jeopardy for the Democrats? That is a very fair question. There's nothing wrong in asking it because it needs to be asked. And I bet you people are going to start asking that question. That nothing to take away from her. But the reality is should she have gone 10 years ago when they had the Senate? They could have gotten somebody through. This could have been a non-starter outside of a tragedy. We saw Scalia die. But outside of that, you'd still be looking at a situation. That's why I would say, man, if I'm a Republican, I'm looking at some of these older, Clarence Thomas and things like that, thinking, man, maybe it's time for you to go because we don't want something to happen there to be unexpected, and they haven't. It's a fair question to ask.
All eyes here are now on a handful of key Republicans who could side with Democrats and oppose a confirmation. We are closely watching Mitt Romney, who, of course, voted to impeach the president earlier this year. Also, Chuck Grassley, the former chair of the Judiciary Committee, who previously said he doesn't think they should act on this during an election year. And Cory Gardner, who is up for re-election in Colorado and for whom a vote on this before the election might be a political risk.
Might be, but you got Murkowski and Collins. So these people are going to be hit up hard. They're going to get thousands of phone calls. And it's not just going to be all people saying, you better not vote for this. Because let's be real for a second. If I'm standing there and I'm in their position and I believe that the president has every right to, I believe in the Constitution and the way it was written, and how the conservatives interpret it, if that's truly my belief, then you would have to vote and hear it. And the reason's pretty simple. Do you think any of those people who are calling you up are saying, look, I guarantee you I'll vote for you if you don't hear this? No, they're not. They're not doing any of that stuff. None of that. They're telling you that they're already not voting for you. So that's not even happening, right? So they're not voting for you because they don't like anything you stand for politically. So you're not getting their votes. And the people that will vote for you, if you don't vote, they may vote for somebody else just to piss you off and spite you and see you gone. Well, the moral of it all, what this is politics. First of all, you're in politics. There's zero morals involved whatsoever. This is none. You guys have thrown that away a long time ago. Secondly, do the Republicans have the right to? Absolutely they do. People are looking at the president saying, you not only have the right, you have to do this, and you have to do this before the election. And the reason is because this thing's probably going to go to the Supreme Court. And if you have a 4-4 tie, what happens then? Usually it reverts back to the lower court's decision. So you want to make sure that there is an odd number. The Democrats would have done it. Absolutely, they would have. 110%. I listened to what the Democrats are saying.
She said, my most fervent wish is that I will not be replaced until a new president is installed.
Well, that's a wish. That doesn't happen this way, right? This isn't make a wish. This is you stayed on probably longer than you should have. And I think people quietly behind the scenes will be saying, we had a chance. You know, we did. And if the court was that important, the longevity of maintaining at least a close balance in the court, maybe you would have stepped away earlier. Say the same thing about Clarence Thomas. Some of the other people get a little bit longer in the tooth. Been around a long time. You worry about their health. So, but it's a wish. And the Democrats are pissed because the reality is they really can't do anything. They can't. They can't do anything. Nancy's hinted at all of the tools that she has at her disposal, the arrows.
We have our options. We have arrows in our quiver that I'm not about to discuss right now.
And some people are saying it's another impeachment. So get ready, kids. This battle's going to get ugly, and we still have an election. And a week from tomorrow night is the first debate. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. It is called Masterclass, and it is absolutely amazing. I mean, just incredible. So what it is they have 85 different masters of their class. 85 different people that are absolutely the best of the best at everything that they do. And I'm talking about the best of the best. You're going to learn lessons. R.L. Stein. Maybe you'd like to learn about writing from him. You don't know who R.L. Stein is? Right? Goosebumps and all this stuff? You guys don't? Oh, yeah. Right? Or what about like film and television? Spike Lee, Werner Herzog, Martin Scorsese, Ken Burns. They'll teach you about that. Maybe it's just music. I'd like to learn some stuff. Carlos Santana, Reba McEntire, just to name a few. It's incredible. You learn from them the way that the classes work. It's about 20 classes per session. Each class is about 10 minutes long. They got downloadable material to help support what you're doing. Maybe you've got something you've always been curious in and you just like to learn more about because you're a curious person and being well-rounded is amazing. Or maybe you'd like to take something you've always dreamed of, potentially a hobby, and turn it into something else. That's what Masterclass will do. You can explore at your own pace. Computer, tablet, smart TV, workbooks, exercises, recipes are all available for download. Highly recommend you check it out just for being a Chad Benson Show listener. 15% off an annual membership, which is very inexpensive anyways. Go to masterclass.com/Benson. 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 Chad Benson Show.
You go, boy.
This isn't about right or left. This is just about right and wrong.
Right you are, Chad. The Chad Benson Show.
I've played a straight woman in movies, so I'm a pretty good actress. But I don't think that I'm that good that I could come out here every day for 17 years and fool you. This is me. And my intention is to always be the best person I can be. And if I've ever let someone down, if I've ever hurt their feelings, I am so sorry for that.
That's Ellen DeGeneres. Her show is coming back, and she's being open and honest about all of the chaos, the craziness, the rumors about her and how bad she is. And you know what? That's what you do. You come out and you find out, you attack it head on and don't ignore it. And guess what? You also talk about the fact that you are human.
I am that person that you see on TV. I am also a lot of other things. Sometimes I get sad, I get mad, I get anxious, I get frustrated, I get impatient, and I am working on all of that. I am a work in progress, and I am especially working on the impatience thing and it's not going well because it's not happening fast enough. I will tell you that.
What happened? Was she evil and bad? No, she wasn't evil and bad. You know what it is? It's a bunch of people out there who just didn't like the way that things went. She was mean. He was mean. She was mean. They want too much. They push too hard. We were just talking about the fact that 32-year-olds is the average age for burnout in business, and they're working too much in their careers and blah. My God, get over it. I've worked with some SOBs. I try not to be an SOB. I said I'm not going to be like that, but I do expect people to work hard. So I work hard. I would never ask you to do something that I wouldn't have done or don't do. It's how I roll. I see it, especially in the younger generation. I guarantee you 99% of the complaints that came, if not 100%, were all from people in their mid-20s, maybe to 30. Who were upset about this and upset about that and upset about this. And where's all the stuff? Well, so-and-so was mean and such, and this person is it's nuts. It is. Plus, you start surrounding yourself with people who think they have your best interest at heart, and they go out and do stuff which they think that would make you happy. Do I think she's a ball buster? Damn right. Why wouldn't you be? She's driven. Do I think she's mean? Well, I think now mean is open for interpretation. You ask somebody to work an extra couple hours and they think you're mean. My God. It's the crazy world we live in. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Ruth Bader Ginsburg has passed away on Friday. Now Trump has come out and said by Friday, Saturday of this week, we will have his pick and his nomination. We can't leave you without hearing it one more time.
Holy you guys! I'm driving your car, but I just got a notification that Ruth Bader Ginsburg died! Could this year get any worse? Ruth, you just had to make it to 2021!
Should be my new ringtone. Have a blessed rest of your day. Smile and be kind to each other, people. Stop being so emotional. There's no reason for it. We'll do it again tomorrow. Night-night, Jack.
This is The Chad Benson Show.